because Donald Trump has taken out the Iowa caucus and he's emerging, of course, as the clear Republican frontrunner. His soon-to-be rival, if you can call him that, Joe Biden, continues to tank. His own approval ratings are now at a 15-year low, according to a new poll by ABC News in America. Joining me now is my former deputy assistant, of course, to President Trump. He is Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Seb, very good to see you. Welcome to the Independent Republican Mike Graham.
Greetings, greetings. The only host who knows how to use Pyrrhic victories correctly and then has to have a little warning on the use of the word fudge. Yes. I do remember a finger of fudge when I was a little kid. I missed those little chocolate bars. How are we doing? Can you just run for office and sort out Blighty? Come on, Mike.
I mean, for heaven's sake, we've literally spent all week talking about a bill which is going to do nothing to stop illegal migration, is going to do nothing to stop legal migration. We're going to have 10 million more people living here in about 10 years' time. We already can't see a doctor. We already don't have enough houses. You can't get a bloody train. You know, it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. So, you know, immigration, which the lefties tell us doesn't matter, it's not a big deal, I'm afraid is going to sink Sunak, along with, you know, his policies on what he can do about stopping these boats.
Yeah, you and Nigel need to sort out the UK, but you know, you are in far, far better waters than we are. So think about what's happening here in America. Recently, we broke all world records. We had 12,000 illegals cross our southern border on one day. Yeah. Not a week, not a month, one day. And shockingly, you mentioned Iowa. Well, shocking for the left. This historic victory for the president, the greatest lead anyone's ever had in that primary was 12 points. That was Bob Dole. President Trump won by 31 points. 31 points on Monday night. Yeah. And more women voted for him than men, which tells you this garbage about the suburban housewives don't like his tweets truly is garbage. But here's a fascinating thing. What was the top issue? Iowans, who aren't exactly on the border, they're not in Texas. What was the #1 issue Iowans said as they came out of the polling stations and they chose President Trump? Immigration, Mike. Yes. So whether it's the UK or whether it's here, people have said, basta, enough.
Yes. Because they're right to say that. I mean, I've been hearing some incredible stories, Seb. We haven't really had a chance to talk about it. But, you know, there are people from sub-Saharan Africa turning up at the Mexican border with the United States of America. This is a business we're dealing with. This is organised. It is a multi-million-pound business every single day of every single year. And it all started with Angela Merkel in Germany, you know, the creator of the European superstate, when she said, oh, you're from Syria. Come on in because you need some sort of sanctuary from that terrible war. And guess what? It was like, I am Spartacus. Everybody went, yeah, I'm from Syria. Can I come in? And, you know, and now look where we are.
I'll send you a photograph that one of our congressmen posted last week, the great Matt Gaetz. It's a photograph from the Border Patrol from an unnamed source that has hundreds of passports strewn on the other side of the border. Why? Because they come across pretending to be Mexicans. Yeah. They're Venezuelan passports, they're Haitian passports, and they say, I'm pleading asylum. We don't know who these people are. No. The latest estimates are that it's 8 million that have been let in 3 years. I would say you can probably double that because there are people that we don't even know cross the border. Yeah. 16 million. If you think of 9/11, 9/11 was done by less than 20 guys. Yeah. If I'm ISIS, if I'm Hamas, if I'm Al-Qaeda, if I know the border is open, what am I going to be doing, Mike? I'm going to be flooding the zone with my bad guys. That's why borders matter. There is no nation that doesn't police its borders. If you don't have borders, Mike, you don't have sovereignty. If you don't have sovereignty, you don't have a country.
You have no control over anything. I mean, look at the state of London. I saw, shamefully, a place where I used to live not far from, Sloan Kettering Hospital in New York City on the Upper East Side, you know, a horrible, ghastly gang of masked thugs marching past, trying to frighten children, cancer patients, shouting free Palestine, you know, from the river to the sea and all that. In London, last weekend, they were shouting in defence of the Houthis in Yemen. You know, it's not good enough now to get rid of Israel as a state. They now want to support the Yemenis and the Houthi terrorists, and they want Britain to stop attacking them, even though we are being attacked in the shipping lanes of the Red Sea.
We've had, and we've lost two brave SEALs, two of our special forces guys, preventing Iran from doing exactly that in just the last 72 hours. But one person here, one politician, has recommended the following, and I'd like to see a Brit with a spine in the Palace of Westminster come up with this. If you're an immigrant, if you're there on some kind of visa, and you're caught at one of these pro-terrorist Hamas demonstrations, you should be deported instantly. Your feet shouldn't touch the ground, and you should be shipped off to some godforsaken hellhole like Yemen, like Gaza. Get rid of those who don't believe in our civilization. Churchill was right. The English-speaking peoples are the greatest civilization the world has ever seen. If you're calling for their destruction, if you're on the side of the enemies of that civilization, you shouldn't be allowed to be there. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Are we trying to commit political suicide or not?
The fact that you saying that is seen by some people as a controversial statement tells you how far we've fallen. It's absolutely incredible. Right. But watching Donald Trump in Iowa was fascinating and very kind of, I think, thrilling for a lot of people who will see that the world has gone to something that I can't say, even though it is quite late at night, since he left, because let's have a look at why Joe Biden is now so unpopular. Have a look at this.
At White House Senior Living.
So this is Joe Biden, White House Senior Living. This is a video that was made to make him look even more ridiculous than he actually is. But you don't have to do much. This is Joe Biden, unable to eat properly, unable to put his jacket on properly, unable to remember who his wife is, unable to remember exactly where he's going. I mean, you don't have to have any fiction there behind that. That's all real footage of sleepy, creepy, crooked Joe Biden.
We don't need to edit. There are no deep fakes. That is the actual man who allegedly is the president of the United States. Let me just be clear to all of your amazing viewers and listeners. President Trump, my former boss, who's trouncing the current incumbent in the polls, he's more than 20 years older than me. So I'm 53. He's in his late 70s. When I worked for him in the White House, Mike, if I had a quarter of his energy, I would be satisfied with that. Yeah. People always used to ask me, Seb, when it's 4 a.m., are you the one tweeting on the president's account? I said, are you kidding me? I need at least 5 hours sleep. Right. It was him. This guy's I don't know whether it's the Scottish, German, Irish genetics or something. Some people like Maggie allegedly slept only 4 hours a night as prime minister. Some people are just born to lead. Yes. DJT is one of them. Churchill was one of them. Maggie was one of them. This is what our civilization needs the most. People who don't just have the energy, but have the love for their country and are prepared to take the slings and arrows. Simply the fact that he's facing 730 years in prison on trumped-up charges from Democrat prosecutors from Georgia to New York, and he's prepared to put himself and his family through it again. That's love of country, Mike.
Well, I saw some more footage of him getting off a plane. I think it was after Iowa, and it was at something like 3:30 in the morning. And the person who posted it was like, and I think it was a Newsmax or somebody like that, saying, Joe Biden calls it a day around about noon when he's had his sort of tea and biscuits, Mike, and he's off to sleep because and he hasn't made a statement, has he, about these missile attacks in the Red Sea. He's launching attacks on behalf of the nation of the United States of America, and he hasn't addressed the United States of America about it.
He has not, and he spent more time on holiday than he has in the White House. And if you talk to the insiders, just compare this to President Trump. Joe Biden gets to work at 10 a.m. and they have a close on media. They shutter the whole White House at 2 p.m., which, if you actually do the math, that means he hasn't been on holiday for most of his presidency. He's barely been working. If you're doing 4 hours of work a day and the nuclear football is down the hall, the question is, Mike, who's running the country? Who's really running the country? Because I guarantee you one thing, as my good friend Dan Bongino, former Secret Service agent, says, it's not the rotting bag of oatmeal in the Oval Office.
Well, it seems extraordinary because it's also not the vice president. So who is the power behind the throne? You know, who's the guy operating the Wizard of Oz?
Well, I recommend it maybe for another one of your shows. Go back to an interview with Obama after he left office. I'm not making this up. If you don't believe Seb, look it up for yourself. It's out there, where Obama said, my dream would be to have a third term where I'm not actually the president, but I've got one of those little devices in the president's ear, and I'm just telling him what to do. Obama said that on camera, Mike.
Yeah. Well, it's funny what they say on camera. I was visiting what Joe Biden said on camera about Hunter Biden in the presidential debate last time around, when he more or less accused Donald Trump of making up lies and said that it was all a Russian plot to discredit his son.
And today, perfect segue, the Department of Justice, in consequence of another investigation to do with Hunter Biden's evasion of millions of dollars of tax payments, actually admitted in the court filing, it's on my Twitter stream, Seb Gorka, that the Hunter Biden laptops are Hunter Biden's laptops. That's Biden's DOJ, Department of Justice. I mean, it's squirreled away in this filing.
Yeah.
But the laptop that we were told by Twitter, by Facebook, by the New York Times, by the Washington Post, by CNN, by the BBC, oh no, these are not the droids you're looking for, that's Russian propaganda.
Yeah.
Biden's own administration has had to admit, yeah, all that stuff with the prostitutes, the coke, the illegal gun purchases, the businesses with China, yeah, it's all real. Perhaps one of the most corrupt political families in American history. And, you know, that's something, if you remember Hillary Clinton and Bill, that takes some doing.
It really does. And yet, his poll ratings plummet. The Democrats don't seem to have any other clue as to what to do. They must know. They must have looked at Iowa, and they must be looking at oblivion, staring down the barrel of a gun.
You know, the trouble is these people don't live in the real world. I mean, really, when you're so isolated, when CNN tells you you're great, when MSNBC tells you you're great, when the Washington Post tells you you're great, when you're detached, when you've never actually had to, you know, buy petrol and fill a tank of petrol in your own car, when you're getting Hunter Biden's son, just one stat, just one deal. Burisma, the most corrupt energy company in Eastern Europe, paid that guy for a no-show job. He never went to Ukraine, had no background in energy, didn't speak the language, paid him $83,000 a month because his dad was vice president. These people have no idea what the real world is like or what real Americans are suffering from. We went from petrol at $1.8, $1.80 per liter, to up to $7.50 per liter in California now. That's the real world. That's where most Americans live. Yeah. But if you're a Democrat member of the commentariat, the talking classes, you've got your Uber Black and you're just fine.
Yeah, absolutely right. So on to New Hampshire. What happens there?
Well, if the president romps home again, then Ron DeSantis, if he's logical, which his ego may not permit him to be, has to stop his campaign. Because if he waits until Florida and he loses against President Trump in the state of which he is a governor, that's an embarrassment you can never recover from. Yeah. His political career is dead. Nikki Haley is being funded by rhinos and Democrats. She's actually admitted that. So she may just keep on going because she thinks, ooh, if President Trump ends up in prison, I get to pick up the pieces. So this is the level of moral turpitude we're dealing with, Mike.
Yeah, it's a shocking state of affairs. But listen, great to talk to you, Sebastian. Keep up the good fight, and we'll see you very soon.